All right, Mr. Ruth here. Now we're going to talk about the third type of transformation, which is a reflection. So let's say I want to figure out how to reflect from one fork to the other. So I'm going to take my pre-image and image labels so I know which direction I'm going. So I'm going to try to reflect from this fork to that fork. Remember, all of our reflections and transformations are directional. Now, we know that when we are trying to reflect, we have to reflect over some sort of line. Now again, when we had graph paper and our x and y axis, we had lines already built in. But now we have to draw our own line. So I've drawn my own line here. I've labeled it line A. And now I have to figure out, well, where would I put the line of reflection to get this fork to reflect to this fork? If I put it here, and I'm reflecting over that, then I would land probably something like this. If I put it here, would reflect and it would land something like this. So, I kind of move it around and kind of think about where it would be symmetrical. So come around here and I think you'll be able to see it better. I'm always looking, how can I fold one side over onto the other? So I think, putting it somewhere in here is about the right spot. Now, how do I figure out if I've got it right? We know, remember when we were doing this on graphs, we would count to the line and count blocks past the line, and they had to be equal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from the top of each of my forks, and I get 16 inches. Now that tells me that the line of reflection should go halfway in between at 8 on the ruler, because that way I know this side has 8 inches and this side has 8 inches. So I know that this point on the fork is reflecting to this little point on the fork. Now the tops are not the only thing I have to measure. I also have to measure and make sure the bottoms are correct, because I could have it at the right spot here, but maybe it's off down below. So I'm going to also move to the bottom and measure from the bottom of the fork to the bottom of the fork, and I get 23 inches. And that means that my line of reflection should be at half of that, which is 11.5. So I need to slide it over just a tiny bit, and there we go. So now I've placed my line of reflection here. So this goes at a 90-degree angle to the line, 8 blocks, and then 8 blocks past. This goes at a 90-degree angle, 11.5 blocks, and so it goes 11.5 blocks past. Now, one thing I want to warn you about, if you back up a bit, is not every two objects can be mapped one to the other with a reflection. If I had a different situation and I was going from this fork to this fork, come a little closer. Sorry, let's do this. There's no line I could place that would make this work. So don't assume that how your forks are oriented means, or whatever objects you're using means, you can do it in one step with reflection. You might have to translate it first and then reflect, or reflect and translate and take a second step. How would I write the answer? I would write reflect fork, or whatever my image is, over line A. And if you've labeled your line X or line B or whatever, you would use whatever you've done. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching.